And Dr Oliver Marc Hartwich is a research fellow with the economics program at the Centre for Independent Studies. Dr Hartwich was a teenager in West Germany when the wall came down, and he joins us now from Sydney. Oliver Marc Hartwich, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Now, first and foremost, you say this is a day to remember the people who died trying to cross the wall and escape East Germany. How many were there?
It's very difficult to come up with a precise number because, for obvious reasons, the East German government wasn't keen on counting them. What West German officials have counted over the years is a figure of about 800 or 900 people that died trying to cross the Berlin Wall, but also trying to cross the German border.
Now, what do you remember of this day 20 years ago when you were a teenager in West Germany?
Well, I was glued to the television because it was such incredible news. In all likelihood, nobody had really expected to see the fall of the wall in his lifetime. I remember there was an opinion poll in 1987 where 97% of the West Germans said that they would never see the wall fall down. So when it actually happened, it was, first of all, a big surprise and a great relief.
Now, you are saddened by what has happened to Germany since. What's gone wrong?
Well, first of all, I'm happy that the wall has disappeared, but I think there have been many mistakes that have been made in the process of unification. Basically, Helmut Kohl, as Chancellor of Germany, promised too much to everybody. He promised to the East Germans that it would only take 3 or 4 years for the country to catch up with the West, and he promised the West Germans that it wouldn't cost a thing. Well, in the end, the process took much longer than everybody predicted, and it cost about 1.6 trillion euros to the present day.
And Helmut Kohl actually pledged blossoming landscapes to the east. I was in Germany just this year in July, and it really does seem, if you go to East Berlin, there's such a marked difference between the West and the East. And has the East received the opportunities that were promised to it?
Well, he promised blossoming landscapes, and I think a lot of the East now looks much better than it used to look 20 years ago. That's not the question. I think there has been progress that has been achieved also in East Berlin. Some of the most fashionable parts of Berlin are now in the East. However, I think the process just took longer than everybody thought. It was more costly than everybody thought, and many people didn't want to wait that long. If you just consider that East Germany had a population of about 17 million people 20 years ago, today there are only 13 million left, so 4 million people, mainly young people, highly qualified people, have already left the East.
So what is the level of disillusionment in East Germany today?
Well, you can see the level of disillusionment in the latest opinion polls and in the latest election results. You've got parties of the extreme on the right, on the left, gaining more and more supporters. You've got the former East German Communist Party now in the area of around 25% of election support, and that shows you something about the disillusionment with the process of unification.
The practical policies initiated by the Kohl government, you say, have turned a revolution for freedom into an evolution of the welfare state. What do you mean by that?
Well, West Germany already had a very complicated welfare system, and Helmut Kohl didn't want to be upfront and frank about the true cost of unification. So what he tried to do is he was trying to hide the cost and put them towards health services, towards the public pension system. So West Germany's welfare state had to take a lot of the costs of the process of unification just to hide them away from the public eye. And that's why I think the German welfare state is now struggling, because it's not able to cope with all the costs. I mean, remember, it's 1.6 trillion euros.
So you're not impressed at all with how Helmut Kohl handled the situation. What about Angela Merkel?
I think it's good for a start that Germany has a chancellor from the East, because that really shows you that the country is actually coming together. It's a bit of a pity, though, that in her government she didn't find any other cabinet ministers from the East. She's the only East German in Germany's government at the moment. But when it comes to Helmut Kohl, I think he deserves full credit for the courage to actually go ahead with unification, because it was not popular at the time, but we shouldn't forget the severe mistakes he has made.
And so finally, what's the key for Angela Merkel in terms of overcoming this evolution of the welfare state?
Well, I think Angela Merkel has to continue the reforms that were initiated by her predecessor, by Gerhard Schröder, a Social Democrat, who reformed the West German welfare state and started these reforms. And I think it's now time for Angela Merkel to continue them.
Dr Oliver Marc Hartwich, thanks very much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.